is the A to Z podcast. Expert insights on
Test,
leadership,
test, test,
business,
computer.
real estate, investing, and growth.
If you want to know the different asset types of commercial properties and also asset classes, this is your station. I get to show you the different types of asset types and classes. I'm going to pick one of the types and I'm going to dive deep and going to talk about the different asset classes of that asset type and what kind of buyers are attracted to those different classes. If you are a commercial property buyer, seller, or a professional within our industry, you're going to benefit from this conversation. If you stay behind, I have also some announcements and some requests. Stay in touch. We're going to finish within 10, maybe 15 minutes. Let's talk about the different commercial real estate types there are. When I began my profession in commercial real estate around 2022, I didn't know the difference between asset types and asset classes. Some of the experienced professionals in the industry, some of them just let me get away. I sometimes mix types with classes. They let me just make those mistakes. But some of them stop me, easy, don't miss up the two. These are not asset types, these are asset classes. They corrected me. I'm grateful. Over time, I understood the difference between these different types and classes, and also I could be able to identify the kind of buyers that are attracted to these different types and classes. The first asset class I want you to know is multifamily. These are residential buildings. You see them everywhere. Second one is office. Third one, land. Fourth one, industry. Fifth one, retail. I can keep on going, like data centers, student housing, senior housing, and so on. There are too many, but at least these are the common commercial real estate types. Let's talk about classes. Classes are like categories. Let's say you have a multifamily asset type. There are three classes under that type. Class A, Class B, Class C. Class A these are investment grade, newly built or newly renovated multifamily properties. They are at premium locations and they have these up-to-date, state-of-the-art amenities. The second is Class B. These are kind of like middle. They may not be recently built. They may not be recently renovated. They may not be at premium locations, but they are okay. They don't need a lot of maintenance. Class C, these are properties. They are also called value add because they could be old properties. Maybe they need some maintenance. They may not be in, at prime locations. And these are Class C. Just quickly to tell you who's going to be interested in these different classes. In most cases, Class A attract these investors and institutional buyers. Most of them, they tell you, I'm looking for industry grade property and I need properties over $50 million. Initially, I was trying to help them, but I immediately realized that a small team like mine and a commercial brokerage which doesn't specialize in commercial estate may not interest them. They already have these specialized commercial real estate brokerage and a large team. And I said, okay, maybe I don't need to sell Class A's. If they come and if opportunity presents, yeah, definitely I will do them. But I immediately realized that Class A is above my pay grade. Class B, I'm in Class C, but I'm okay also Class B. Class B these are properties most probably $5 to $50 million, and these are still institutional buyers. These could be family offices or affluent individuals who have the money to buy these Class B asset classes. Class C buyers are, in most cases, these are active buyers, they don't mind that the property needs some renovation, some work in the property management and the expense and system and so on. They specifically asking you, I'm looking for value add property, which they mean is that find me class C. Find me a property which is in deep trouble and I'll take care of it. The advantage for them is if there are maintenance issues, sometimes you walk around, you could be able to see these kind of properties. Their fences are down. You see that the property is not painted well. If you get in, you could be able to see that some doors are broken, the compound is not clean, and so on and so forth. You could see that that property is neglected by the buyer or the property management. And therefore, these buyers, they ask you, find these kind of properties that are in deep trouble and they want to buy discount. And then they work on them, improve the maintenance, the management, the expenses, and so on. And then they increase the valuation of these properties, even turn them into class B. Today, what I want to do is I'm going to dive deep to talk about one of the asset types, which is multifamily. And then I'm going to talk about the 3 different classes of multifamily properties and a couple of examples by picking just one of the classes, which is class C. When it comes to multifamily, I'm going to give you a little bit background. You know that there are residential homes. These are from 1 to 4 units. And the buyers, you know who they are. People who are interested to have a roof over their head. Their interest is to have a residential place for their family. And they target homes that are within their budget and also the locations where they want to buy those properties. The kind of schools and crime rate and so on, these are important to them. And they approach brokerage, residential brokerage and residential agents. Sometimes people may ask me, like, I want you to help me buy a residential home. I immediately connect them with a residential agent because I don't specialize. The 2 residential properties are different in many ways. The first thing is the goal, the intention, and the budget. Residential individuals, they are trying to buy a home between 200,000 up to 500,000. That may be their first home, and the disclosure is a lot because you are dealing with the retail buyers, and the government want to protect. Actually, the real estate commission, want to protect retail buyers, and therefore there are a lot of disclosures. When it comes to commercial, the buyers and the sellers in commercial real estate, many of them are savvy. They know the market, they can take risks. The disclosures are almost none compared to residential. And these buyers, in most cases, are looking for cash producing properties. And in most cases, they are passive buyers, which means they give the properties to a property management company and they are hands off. And as you deal with these people, there are different challenges that you face compared to what you face in the residential sector, because in residential sector, the focus is whether that place is convenient for the family, safe, and whether there are schools for the kids, and so on and so forth. And when it comes to commercial properties, whether that property produces income, whether it could be able to increase in valuation in 5-7 years, and you take into account so many factors. And also the lenders are different. The lenders for in the residential properties, these are lenders who evaluate the credit history of the buyer. When it comes to commercial, these are commercial lenders, and they focus more on the cash flow to see whether this property could be able to pay the debt service plus some cash flow. In that case, they don't focus more on the individual buyer's credit history. They take into account, but that's not the most important thing. That said, I want to also talk about the different asset types that are also similar to multifamily. These are student housing, senior housing, self-storage, hospitality. these kind of properties are almost similar to multifamily. I specialize in multifamily, but I can also be helpful to buyers who are or sellers interested to sell or buy these similar asset types. They have kind of like the same, you use the same kind of valuation with some variations. Now let's talk about the three classes of multifamily property type and what kind of buyers may be interested in these different classes. And I'm going to focus more on type C, class C. When it comes to multifamilies, there are Class A, these are investment grade, newly built, newly renovated. They are at premium locations. These are the apartment buildings that you see at the center of the town or at some corners, and you know that they're a little bit expensive because they are Class A investment grade properties. And in most cases, these are investors or maybe institutional buyers who are interested in this kind of properties. The second class, Class B, these are properties maybe built 90s, 2000 something. They're not new like Class A. They are okay. They are maintained, maybe renovated 5 years ago or 2 years ago, and they have decent amenities. They're okay. And these are mainly, they attract professionals in terms of price also. They're not premium. They are affordable compared to Class A. Class C, where I'm going to focus today, these are value add properties. They may be old, built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they may need some maintenance. Maybe they have a high vacancy rate, or maybe the management is not good at reducing expenses. And therefore, buyers of value add properties, when they come to you, they ask you, can you find me off market deal? Can you find me value add properties that I could work on, increase their valuation within a couple of years? And they target them because their valuation going to be very, very low right now. Because if there are some expenses, capex, that should be invested on that in value add property, which basically means its expenses are high and the net operating income going to be lower. The lower the net operating income means the lower the listing price. And therefore they buy low, they improve these asset classes, and then they sell them when they are higher. Here are the areas where they're looking for to see some advantage. They look at the property, Class C, value add, and they're looking for whether it requires maintenance. They look at it, maybe the roof is old, maybe the painting is too old, it's not well kept, it's not mowed, the fences are down. And also, they could be able to see that some of the amenities don't exist. Some of these properties, they don't have in units, like, for example, ACs and so on, the meters for electricity and so on. They may not have in the units laundries or dryer and so on. So what the plan they have is, okay, I'll buy this property. I need to do all of these improvements. By doing these improvements, I could increase the rent rate. Could be a couple of $100 per unit, and that could give them edge. Think about if they have multiple units, multiple that by 12 for 1 year, you get a lot of return out of that. The second area they're looking for value add is vacancy. In most cases, these Class A, Class B, in most cases, their vacancies are above 95. At Class C, these value add properties, they could be like 10% vacancy, 20% vacancy. In some cases, there is an issue. The owner is not a very savvy person. You know what you're doing. But if in case you're not in this industry, you're listening this, I'm not recommending anything. This is not advice. You have to talk to your professional locally, because the different markets in different locations are different than mine. I'm in South Florida. However, if you are in South Florida, if you are interested, for example, to buy or sell some of these asset classes, especially Class B and Class C, reach out. We have a wonderful team. We are kind of holistic. We provide different services. You're not just coming to me. You are coming to the #1 commercial team in South Florida. We're going to help you. And of course, if you want, I have 2 offers. One offer going to be, we can do a quick valuation for free for your property. We have our own formula that we use to analyze. We could get some data from you, and then we give you the current valuation of your property, whether you want to sell it now or not, but you want to know the current valuation. The second offer that I have, we have diverse buyers in South Florida for different asset types and classes. Reach out and we could be able to help you get qualified, diverse buyers. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to see you with another video. Have a great day. Thank you.